Richard was born on January 6, 1367, in Bordeaux, France, to Edward, Prince of Wales, and Joan of Kent. He was their only child and was baptized as Richard of Bordeaux. His mother was the daughter of Edmund of Woodstock, the son of Edward I, and was known for her beauty and intelligence. Richard's father, Edward, was the eldest son of King Edward III and was known as the Black Prince for his military prowess. However, the Black Prince died of dysentery in 1376, leaving Edward III without an heir. Richard became King of England at the age of 10 upon the death of his grandfather, Edward III. He was crowned king in July 1377. However, due to his young age, his reign was initially dominated by his uncle, John of Gaunt, who served as his regent. In 1381, Richard faced the Peasants Revolt, a popular uprising against high taxes and oppressive feudal practices. The rebels, led by Wat Tyler, marched on London and burned buildings and destroyed property. Richard met with Tyler and promised to address their grievances, but when Tyler became aggressive, Richard had him killed. The revolt was eventually suppressed, but it highlighted the growing discontent of the common people. Richard was said to shout to the rebels, "You shall have no captain but me." In 1382, Richard married Anne of Bohemia, the daughter of the Holy Roman Emperor, Charles IV. The marriage was politically significant, as it strengthened England's ties with the Holy Roman Empire. Anne was well educated and shared Richard's interest in the arts and culture. She is believed to have had a positive influence on Richard's reign. However, the marriage was childless, and Anne died in 1394 from the plague. Richard's reign saw the continued conflict with France during the Hundred Years' War. He led several military campaigns against the French, but these were largely unsuccessful. In 1396, Richard signed a peace treaty with the French, which included his marriage to Isabella, the daughter of the French king, as a way of sealing the peace. In 1388, Richard faced a rebellion led by his cousin, Henry Bolingbroke, and other nobles who were unhappy with Richard's rule. The rebels, known as the Lords Appellant, accused Richard of mismanagement and corruption. Richard was forced to submit to their demands and dismiss many of his advisors. However, he bided his time and eventually took revenge on his enemies. Richard was known for his patronage of the arts, particularly paintings, literature and architecture. He commissioned several portraits of himself like the famous Wilton diptych. He commissioned and rebuilt several buildings, including Westminster Hall and the Tower of London, and was a patron of the poet Geoffrey Chaucer. Richard was known for his extravagant spending and love of luxury. He spent vast sums of money on clothing, jewelry, and entertainment. He was also known for his love of hunting and hawking, and kept a large menagerie of exotic animals. In 1394, Richard embarked on a military campaign in Ireland to assert his authority there. The campaign was initially successful but short-lived, and Richard returned to England without achieving his objectives. The campaign was expensive, and Richard was forced to raise taxes to pay for it, further alienating his subjects. Richard's reign was marked by economic hardship and social unrest. The Black Death had ravaged England in the 14th century, and the country struggled to recover from the loss of population and economic disruption. There were also tensions between the aristocracy and the growing urban middle class, who resented the privileges of the nobility. In order to fund his extravagant lifestyle and military campaigns, Richard continued to impose heavy taxes on his subjects. This made him increasingly unpopular, and there were several protests and rebellions against his rule. Richard's reliance on taxes and his perceived mismanagement of the economy contributed to his unpopularity and weakened his authority. Richard's relationship with the church was also contentious. He attempted to assert his authority over the church and was involved in a dispute with the Archbishop of Canterbury over the appointment of bishops. Richard also suppressed the Lollards, a religious reform movement that criticized the church's wealth and corruption. Richard was a skilled diplomat and was successful in negotiating alliances with other European powers. He was particularly close to the royal family of Portugal, and his sister, Philippa, married King John I of Portugal. Richard also attempted to assert English influence in the Baltic region by forming an alliance with the Teutonic Knights. Richard's reign saw the emergence of a strong parliament that challenged the king's authority. Parliament passed several laws limiting the king's power, including the Statute of Praemunire, which restricted the church's ability to appeal to Rome, and the Treason Act, which made it illegal to criticize the king or his advisors. In 1399, Richard faced a rebellion led by Henry Bolingbroke, his cousin and former ally. Bolingbroke claimed the throne and accused Richard of misrule and tyranny. Richard was captured and forced to abdicate in favor of Bolingbroke, who became King Henry IV. Richard was imprisoned in Pontefract Castle, where he died under mysterious circumstances the following year of 1400. Richard was a patron of the arts and was interested in chivalric culture. Richard was also interested in heraldry and introduced several new symbols and designs into the English coat of arms. Richard was known for his lavish court ceremonies and pageantry. Richard's reign saw the emergence of English as a literary language. Chaucer, who served as Richard's court poet, wrote in Middle English and helped to establish the language as a literary medium. Richard also sponsored the translation of French and Latin texts into English, which helped to increase the popularity of the language. Richard's reign was marked by social and cultural change. The rise of the urban middle class and the growth of trade and commerce led to the emergence of a new social order. Richard's reign was a turbulent period in English history, marked by political upheaval, economic hardship, and social change. Richard's reign saw the emergence of a strong parliament, the growth of English literature, and the development of a new social order. Richard's legacy continues to be debated by historians and scholars, who view him as both a powerful and flawed monarch.